back at it again. So the plan for this video, move body out of the way, is to cut these down to size, tap them, put a plastic ball joint in the end, and then mark and weld in some locating brackets or mounting points for the ball link. So that's the plan for today. So I'm just going to do some measurements, figure out how I want to do it. I've got the choice of either replicating that mount, or I'm thinking of using some tube to weld the tube on underneath there, and then the ball link bolts into some tube. So I will figure it out, start to mock it up, and then show you what I've done. So I have finished the front suspension mounting points for the I-beams. So I've just got some more tube, a little bit of spacer, tacked it on. The welds are a bit ugly, but it's a prototype. I'm happy with that. It's definitely strong enough. And then you can see that's just a mock screw. It's an M3 screw that will pull it tight. So hopefully that will be sufficient. And then over here, it's time to modify these. So I need to strip these apart once again, take all that apart, and then I need to cut it there near my thumb, marked it, cut it there, tap it, and then that, but do both of those, and then I can fit them properly. So let's crack on. Right, so what do you make of that? So that is, as near as damn it, the ride how it will be at when it's fully loaded. Fingers crossed. You can see there the front that sticks out, the front of the front that sticks out beyond the body. So this will be a full bumper that comes around to here, goes up and then back across. The screws that stick down, they're obviously not going to stay like that. They're just mock-up screws. If we lift up the front end slowly, you get an idea for. So that's the kind of suspension travel I could have, but you can see there the crazy camber and caster. It's not going to work, so I will actually I'll have to just experiment with how much travel it's going to have. If I zoom out, but I'm well happy with that. Yeah, I think that's worked out better than I'd hoped, actually. Take the body shell off. Yes, there's a lot of screws that are too long, but yeah. Just put that back straight. Yeah, that's excellent. So the reason, typically on a full-size car, this suspension arm would go quite close to the wheel around here, but due to it being a model and blah blah blah, and the scales aren't quite, the scaling's not the same, so in order for me to get steering lock, I've had to move that all the way in there. And also this suspension point would be further over here, because on a real car you'd have the gear, the engine and the sump, so you wouldn't have chassis legs so narrow, otherwise the engine would be really high up. But anyway, going a bit OTT with the details there. So yeah, that is looking pretty good to me. I'm very happy with that. next couple of videos, I've got to start thinking about shock placement. This is one of the rear shocks, so that's the wrong shock straight away. But I've got to think about where is it going to mount on the suspension arm, where is it going to mount on the chassis, how much droop do I want, how much suspension down travel do I want, how much up travel can I have, because I've got to put the body back on and figure out when the suspension's up I still want lock. So you can see there that it's going to hit the frame straight away, so I'm not going to have as much up travel as maybe I would have liked, but at least I've got that down travel. I have actually got some of these from China. These are some internal spring suspension parts off of some random RC car. At the moment there's a crappy spring and no oil, but I'm thinking of getting a custom spring that's really stiff, some really thick oil, and that might be a replica bump stop. So I'll mount that in addition to a standard shock, and then when the wheel gets close to top limit, it'll hit the bump stop, which will give it that sort of extra cushion, just like a real trophy truck has hydraulic bump stops and the standard shock absorber. And the bump stop only works at the last inch travel, 2 inch travel, or 5 inch travel, whatever it may be. But yeah, the other thing is my servos. Servo. So I'm going to have 2 standard size servos. They're going to be crossed over, so this side will control the opposite side wheel. I've got to calculate where it's going to go, if it's going to be down low, up high, and also the steering arm, because the steering arms will cross in the centre, so they need bending a particular way. But then I want symmetrical steering, so I want the wheels to turn at the same rate. So that's going to be another challenge, but I'm happy with how this has worked out, so I'm confident I can do that. What else to talk about without boring you too much? Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I think I'll sign off on this video. Job well done, suspension's mounted. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to look pretty cool getting it, whoops, getting it out on some bumps. Yeah. Right, okay, I'm off. Right, thanks for watching. Just had to do another little recording. I've got the body shell back on. I've got the chassis at the height I'd like it to be. It's about 75mm from there to the floor. So this is how it will hopefully look full of batteries. Yeah. I think it's higher than a standard trophy truck, but I think it looks spot on. Once I've got the front bumper put on there, I've got a nice bit of up travel. I'm going to just trim the wheel arch, so I've got a bit more up travel, but then think I've got an inch plus of downwards travel easily once I fine tune the shocks. So I've jacked up the chassis so that I've got 110mm from the sill to the ground. So this is to simulate how much travel it could have. So if imagine it was flying through the air, that's how much suspension drop I could have if I get the right shock absorbers. So you can see the crazy camber, but that's just like those crazy trophy trucks from the 90s and whatever. Yeah, so I think if I can get suspension travel like that and get the shock absorbers tuned, the right oil, the right springs, and I can make the rest of the truck look pretty scale, this is going to be badass. Yep. Right, cheers.